The murder of Sayman Abbas is a crime case in which the victim was 18-year-old Sayman Abbas, of Pakistani origins, who disappeared on May 1, 2021 in Novellara, in the province of Reggio Emilia. Although initially it was believed to be a simple case of voluntary estrangement, a month after the events, her death by murder became evident when her boyfriend testified to the violence suffered by Sayman and the threats against the young man by part of the girl's father. Furthermore, the parents' sudden flight to Pakistan aroused strong suspicions, given that the house had been left without any obvious reason. The motive for the crime was found to be the girl's refusal to marry her cousin in Pakistan. In 2020, when she was 17 years old, the young woman later reported her parents for mistreatment and induction into marriage, as well as for the seizure of her documents. On May 5, 2021, investigations by the authorities officially began. The first instance trial concluded on December 19, 2023. The Court of Assizes of Reggio Emilia sentenced the parents Shabar Abbas and Nazia Shaheen to life imprisonment, their uncle Danish Hasnan to 14 years, and acquitted the two cousins, who were accused of the conspiracy murder. The reasons were filed on April 30, 2024. Born on December 18, 2002 near Lahore, Pakistan, Sayman Abbas moved with her parents and younger brother to Italy in 2016 in the small Emilian town of Novellara. The family resided in a country farmhouse where the father, Shabar Abbas, worked as a laborer for an agricultural company. The young woman had settled well into her new life, learning Italian easily and obtaining her middle school diploma without problems. Despite her desire to continue her studies, her parents prevented her from going to high school even though she still had 2 years of compulsory schooling left. At the beginning of 2020, Sayman met what would later become her boyfriend, Sakabayab, through the social media TikTok. However, her family soon forces her to get engaged to her cousin, resident in Pakistan, destining her to a forced marriage with the latter. According to her boyfriend's stories, Sayman was often forced to stay at home without any possibility of saving money, and with permission to use the telephone for only an hour a day. Sometimes she was locked out of the house by her father, and she was forced to sleep on the sidewalk. In a statement to the police, Sayman also revealed episodes of physical violence by his father, who was often drunk on wine. Because I wanted to go to school, but he didn't want to. In desperation, Sayman attempted suicide in March 2020 by ingesting drugs, resulting in hospitalization. Furthermore, in June of the same year, she tried to escape to Belgium, where she was, however, tracked down and brought back to her home. In November 2020, he asked for a final help from social services to stop the wedding in Pakistan scheduled for December 22 against his will, and managed to report his parents for forcing the marriage. Sayman is immediately transferred to a juvenile community, where she is hosted with extreme secrecy. Here, she will remain for about 5 months, until April 11, 2021, the day on which she decides to return home, to recover her documents so that she can get married to her boyfriend and finally change her life. During the last visit to Novellara, the family scolded the young woman for running away from home and refused to hand over her documents. Relatives on April 22, 2021, the last time she was seen publicly, before disappearing on May 1. On April 29, 2021, 3 male figures later recognized as the uncle Danish Hasnan and cousins Ikram Ijaz and Noman Hilak were filmed by surveillance cameras, leaving one of the farm's warehouses at 7:15 p.m. The three were heading towards the fields equipped with work tools, such as shovels, a bucket, a crowbar, and a plastic bag. They return only after 2 hours, around 9:30 p.m. The next day, Sayman writes to her boyfriend Saqib that she overheard a telephone conversation between her parents and maternal uncle. The girl states that they wanted to kill someone. I heard it with my own ears, referring to an uncle with the big shawl. The same uncle, a certain Mamu, together with Shabar and other relatives, had already threatened the boy's family in Pakistan with death if the relationship did not end quickly. According to her boyfriend's testimonies, the 18-year-old was constantly offended by her uncle and cousins, claiming to be scared of the situation. On the same day, Sayman also sends a photo where she appears with a bruise on her cheek, accusing her cousin Irfan of beating her after learning that she was still having relations outside of marriage. Finally, she would have asked her boyfriend to alert the police if she had not made herself heard for more than 48 hours. The last message is sent at 1:30 p.m. Following the conversation between the two, Saman allegedly had a violent argument with his father and mother, in which his uncle Danish also intervened. The girl's younger brother, woken up by the shouts of the argument, said that the documents were then returned to her. She then went to the bathroom and got dressed, with the intention of leaving again. From that moment on, security cameras played a key role in following the story. Saman was filmed at 12:10 am, 10 past midnight, on May 1st, with a backpack on her shoulder, while heading with her parents towards the greenhouses. She and her mother disappear into the darkness for 90 seconds, while her father waits. When his mother returns, Saman is not with her, according to the Carabinieri. In this period of time, Saman was handed over to her uncle and two cousins who killed her and made the body disappear. After 5 minutes spent in the house, Shabar Abbas walks towards the greenhouses again, only to reappear at 0:21, with his daughter's backpack in hand. On the morning of May 1st, the couple were last seen in surveillance footage of Milan Malpensa Airport, from which they boarded a flight to Pakistan, following the numerous complaints made by Saman Abbas to the family on May 5, 2021. The Carabinieri of Novellara, equipped with a specific search warrant, showed up at the farmhouse in Via Colombo 103 where he lived. Upon their arrival, however, neither the parents nor Saman herself were found. The only people present in the house were the girl's younger brother and her uncle. They are the ones who alerted the police to the fact that Shabar's sister was very ill, and for this reason, the couple had immediately returned to their homeland, also adding that Saman had returned. However, some inconsistencies emerged between the statements of the two. The uncle stated that the girl had left home at 5 p.m. on April 30th, while her brother reported that this had happened at 10 p.m. In the evening. A case of kidnapping was opened by the prosecutor's office. Due to the questions that arose, the authorities subsequently decided to contact and investigate her boyfriend Saqib Ayub, who described the young woman's concerns towards her parents, also providing conversations with her. Following the numerous complaints made by Saman Abbas to the family on May 5, 2021, the Carabinieri of Novellara, equipped with a specific search warrant, showed up at the farmhouse in Via Colombo 103 where he lived. Upon their arrival, however, neither the parents nor Saman herself were found. The only people present in the house were the girl's younger brother and her uncle. They are the ones who alerted the police to the fact that Shabar's sister was very ill, and for this reason, the couple had immediately returned to their homeland, also adding that Saman had returned. However, some inconsistencies emerged between the statements of the two. The uncle stated that the girl had left home at 5 p.m. on April 30th, while her brother reported that this had happened at 10 p.m. In the evening. A case of kidnapping was opened by the prosecutor's office. Due to the questions that arose, the authorities subsequently decided to contact and investigate her boyfriend Saqib Ayub, who described the young woman's concerns towards her parents, also providing conversations with her. On May 9th, uncle and brother were stopped at the border with France by the Ventimiglia police for a routine check. The man without documents was invited to appear at the prosecutor's office the following day, but at the time of the hearing he had already disappeared. The minor, however, placed safely in a protected facility, tells the investigators that his sister was strangled by his uncle Danish, together with his cousins and ikramiges who ordered him not to tell the truth. The charge was then changed by the investigating judge to murder, especially after having also examined the video footage. Consequently, the Novellara Carabinieri began searching the surrounding countryside, sifting through fields, greenhouses, wells and canals. Towards the end of May, Resto del Carlino managed to obtain a statement from her father Shabar, in which he stated that his daughter was in Belgium and that she would return to Italy on 10 June to provide further explanations. This lead, however, was denied by the Reggio Emilia Public Prosecutor's Office, which, through the International Cooperation Service, and with the help of the Belgian police, ascertained the girl's absence in the area. Meanwhile, one of Saman's cousins, Ikramiges, was captured in Enmes on 21 May, while on board a Flixbus headed to Barcelona. only to be arrested on 30 May, and finally extradited to Italy on 9 June. On 11 June, an interrogation by the investigating judge, he availed himself of the right not to answer, stating that he was innocent in relation to the affair. On 18 June, the victim's brother was subjected to an evidentiary hearing, where he reiterated what he had previously stated. Given the unsuccessful results of the searches on a total of 80 hectares, on 8 June, the investigations were intensified through the introduction of molecular dogs, excavators, drones and an electromagnetor, as well as to volunteer archaeologists, in an attempt to narrow down the area to be inspected. The search for the body was suspended on July 12, 2021. On 3 July, Ikrimiges requests his release from prison, insisting that he was not involved in the murder, a request which, however, will be rejected by the court in question on 11 July. A few days earlier, on July 7, 2021, the Ministry of Justice had taken steps to include Sayman Abbas's parents, Shabar Abbas, and Nazia Shaheen in the Interpol database, thus starting the extradition process. Sakabayab's evidentiary hearing takes place in the court of Reggio Emilia on 23 July. Here the boy testified to the Abbas threats suffered by his family in Pakistan, also adding new elements against the girl's cousins and uncle. After months of uncertainty about the case, on September 22, 2021, Sayman Abbas' uncle, Danish Hasnan, was arrested in an apartment in Garges El Escanes, on the outskirts of Paris. It was a mole on his face that caught him, as well as fingerprints later. However, during the preliminary hearing at the Paris court, he denied all charges of kidnapping, injury and murder against him, also refusing the extradition request issued by the Italian authorities. After just one day, on September 23, the Minister of Justice, Marta Cartabia, after receiving the translation of the necessary documents, signed the extradition requests for the parents of Sayman Abbas. The following February 14, 2022, the arrest of the victim's cousin, No Manuel Hack, was announced found in an apartment in the center of Barcelona. Following his extradition on 20 March, he denied his participation in the crime, as did Iges, making use of the right to remain silent. In June 2022, thanks to the arrival of the new prosecutor of Reggio Emilia, Gaetano Paci, new diplomatic channels were activated with Pakistan through the collaboration of the Pakistani judiciary. On November 15, 2022, Shabar Abbas was arrested by Pakistan District Police for a fraud worth 5 million rupees. He was subsequently transferred to a prison in Islamabad, where he was also served with the international arrest warrant by Interpol. The man has been sent to trial in Italy, in a trial scheduled for 10 February 2023, where the girl's uncle, Danish Hasnan, and cousins Ikram Iges and No Hilak will also be present. On November 19th, the Carabinieri found a body inside an old, abandoned farmhouse located not far from the Abbas family home. Apparently it was Uncle Danish who indicated the burial site, thanks to an imam who convinced him to testify. On November 27th, the body was recovered from the grave and taken to Milan to carry out an autopsy. The analysis of the dental arches confirmed on January 4, 2023, that the body found in Novellara belonged to the girl. The autopsy also revealed a neck fracture which would support the theory of strangulation. Despite pressing requests for collaboration from the Italian government, on May 10, the Islamabad court postponed the hearing on the extradition of Shabar Abbas for the 20th time. The reason for the postponement appears to be the start of the concomitant trial for corruption and misappropriation of state funds against former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan. This trial of great public importance made the courthouse inaccessible and caused all the other proceedings to drag on. After numerous absences from the hearings scheduled by the Italian authorities, Shabar Abbas attended the trial against him for the first time via video link on 19 May, where he made no statements. About 2 months later, on 4 July, the judge of the Islamabad District Court issued the first favorable opinion regarding the extradition of Sayman's father, and on 29 August, the Pakistani government officially gave the green light. On the night of 1 September, the man was transported aboard a Dassault Falcon 900 of the Air Force to Ciampino Airport, where he was taken into precautionary custody by the penitentiary police and temporarily incarcerated in the Rebibbia prison. On 8 September, Shabar was escorted to Reggio Emilia, where he participated in the trial at the Court of Assizes for the first time. During the session, he reiterated his innocence, declaring that the May 2021 trip to Pakistan had been planned in advance, and that a quote had also been requested for it. Furthermore, his lawyers claimed that, at the time of his arrest in Pakistan, his wife Nazia was at home, while he was in a camp. However, a few days earlier, the prosecutor's office had listened to and recorded the statements of two prisoners. According to what they reported, Sayman's uncle admitted to having killed Sayman, with the complicity of his cousins and the consent of his parents. From a wiretap between father and son, it emerged that Shabar had tried to persuade the latter to blame a relative outside of the 5 defendants in October. The Assize Court of Reggio Emilia requested that Sayman's brother Ali Haider be included among the list of suspects for complicity in murder, thus invalidating his previous statements in the trial. Appearing in court on 31 October, the young man was questioned about the use of the telephone during the events of April and May 2021 and about the dates on which he was questioned by the Carabinieri and the prosecutor. During interrogation, he admitted that he had lied in the past about the cousin's involvement, saying he did so because his father ordered him to. Afterwards, he burst into tears, declaring that he felt ill. On 10 November, the Bologna Juvenile Prosecutor's Office decided not to charge Ali, reporting that no elements from which to hypothesize his involvement in the crime emerged from the reading of the investigation documents, from the interrogations of the accused and from the examination of Ali, murder and in the suppression of the corpse. On November 17, during the indictment, the prosecutors of Reggio Emilia, Laura Galli and Gaetano Paci, asked the court to sentence the parents Shabar Abbas and Nazia Shaheen to life imprisonment, and their uncle Danish Hasnan to 30 years in prison, and cousins Ikram Ijiz and Noman Hilak. The mother, Nazia Shaheen, was arrested on May 31, 2024 in Pakistan, in a village on the border with Kashmir. The woman was then transferred to Islamabad to formalize the extradition process. The case of Sayman Abbas has aroused indignation, especially at a national level, but several international newspapers have cited the news. On May 28, 2021, the Novellara community expressed solidarity with the victim, organizing a sit-in and a torchlight procession to condemn any act of violence, launching an appeal for hope. The mayor of the Emilian municipality, Elena Carletti, showed respect for the girl, stating that she nurtured a ferment, an understandable and natural form of rebellion, and adding that she is not alone and will never be alone. In a meeting with the mayor, the Consul General of Pakistan in Milan, Mansoor Ahmad Chaudhry, commented, "The crimes must be condemned without ifs or buts. We will deploy the maximum collaboration." Some center-right city councillors have questioned the fact that maximum effort was put into preventing the murder of Sayman Abbas, complaining about the Carabinieri's delay in helping the girl. At a national level, the news also created a stir among the political class. The leader of the League, Matteo Salvini, defined the crime as a very worrying affair, hoping for greater application of the Red Code. Matteo Renzi instead asked for justice for Sayman, defining his uncle Danish Hasnan as an animal. There is no integration without respect for the Constitution, and also stating that the girls who want to live here must have the opportunity to do so in freedom. The radical Senator Emma Bonino hopes that the young woman's case will be an example, hoping that today's children will find the civic passion to fight for their rights. At a European level, however, some MEPs belonging to the Identity and Democracy Group held a parliamentary question on June 9, 2021, where the growth of the phenomenon of feminicides and honor crimes in member countries was discussed and greater attention was requested on the issue of gender violence. Union of Islamic Communities of Italy, in common agreement with the Islamic Association of Imams and Religious Guides, has issued a fatwa as a condemnation against forced marriages and against infibulation. However, he rejected any political speculation aimed at smearing the entire Italian Islamic community. This fatwa was later criticized by the Plus Europa group of Reggio Emilia, which considered this an inappropriate intervention in a secular state. Marian Ismail, Somali historian and cultural mediator, defined the ukase gesture as disconcerting, reiterating that, in Italy we don't need religious edicts, there are laws. I don't know that Italy recognizes any religion as state religion. Sayman Abbas's fight for freedom has also been compared to the women's rebellion of the 2020 protests in Iran, where the search for rights and emancipation played a fundamental role.